Okay, we are live.
Awesome. Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. Hope this meeting finds you well and healthy for the first 2 weeks of 2021. Let's just, should we go ahead and call roll first before we move on to the agenda?
Yes.
Please lead with a roll, Madam Clerk. Thank you.
Certainly. Member Brantley?
Here.
Member Duncan?
Excuse me, did you say Thompson?
Oh, sorry. Member Duncan? Member Johnson?
Hello? Hello?
Oh. Member Duncan?
Yes, I was muted. I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
Okay. I have you unmuted.
Thank you. Thank you.
Member Johnson? Okay. Member Miller is absent. Member Sylvester? Member Thompson?
Here.
Member Trotter Gates? Or Getsy, sorry. Oh. Member Trotter Getsy?
I'm present.
Thank you. And you have a quorum.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
And Member Borja. I'm sorry.
I am here. This is Member Borja. Happy New Year to you all. Awesome. I'm moving along to our agenda. If you could please join me into our pledge. Madam Clerk, do you mind leading us off?
Yes, I can do that. But Member Borja, is it okay if I read the announcement first?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. In compliance with directives of the county, state, and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, this meeting is live streamed and closed to the public. Temporary procedures are subject to change pursuant to guidelines related to social distancing and minimizing person-to-person contact. To make a verbal comment at today's meeting, dial 916-875-2500 and follow the prompts to be placed in a queue for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter. When public comment is open for a specific agenda item or off-agenda matter, you will be transferred from the queue into the meeting to make a verbal comment. Written comments are always accepted. Send your email comment to boardclerk@saccounty.net. Your comments will be routed to the board and filed within the records.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Are we ready to do the pledge?
We are.
Thank you. If you could join me in holding your hand to your chest or your heart. Madam Clerk, please go ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
with which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty
and with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Are we, so we have done our roll call. It says here that we're ready to do introductions. Or are we ready to move on with the agenda, perhaps with agenda item number 1?
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
So item 1 is Champion Oaks. It's located on the northwestern corner of intersection of Gerber Road and Cork Tree Lane in the Vineyard community. Request is for a tentative subdivision map, a special development permit, and design review.
Good evening, this is David Ulrey, the planner for the project. I have a presentation. So once again, this is Champion Oaks tentative subdivision map and special development permit. Next slide, please. So once again, the location is at the northeastern corner of the intersection of Gerber Road and Cork Tree Lane. The request is a tentative subdivision map to subdivide the 41.63 acres into, actually I have a correction to the PowerPoint, but it's 152 lots in the RD5 zone and 64 lots in the RD20 zone, as well as a special development permit to allow for a reduction in minimum lot size and width, as well as for setbacks. Next slide. Here we have the existing conditions along Elk Grove Florin Road. It's important to note that this is the former Champion Oaks Golf Course. Next slide. And here we have the Gerber frontage. Next slide, please. Here is the overall landscape plan. They do propose a park as well as some bocce ball courts off of the RD20 product and connections to the Elder Creek Trail. They are also proposing a equestrian trail and a multi-use trail. Next slide, please. Here is a typical landscape concept for the RD20 product. They are alley-loaded Paseo type homes. Next slide. And here is a typical street scene. They have 3 elevations, California Cottage, Modern, and California Bungalow. Next slide, please. So here is the floor plan for Plan 1. Next slide. Floor plan for Plan 2. And next slide, please. And so the PowerPoint on this one actually didn't reflect the alternative to Plan 2, but essentially the difference here is on the second story, it would be open to below where that second bedroom suite is. Next slide, please. And here is Plan 3. Next slide. Here is the modern elevation for Plan 1. Next slide. California Cottage elevation. And if we could go to the next slide, please. As well as the California Bungalow elevation. And so they've, on these plans, they've worked to provide a level of articulation on the sides, aside from the wall that would face into the corresponding unit. So you'll see that left elevation is a passive type unit that does not have windows, but that is provided in order to provide extra privacy to the adjacent units. Next slide. Here we have the California Cottage as well. Next slide. And the California Bungalow. And the modern elevation. Next slide, please. And next slide. Okay. So key points. This is located in the Florin Vineyard Community Plan on the former Champion Oaks Golf Course site. The project proposes a 10-foot multi-use trail and a 5-foot wide equestrian trail along Elder Creek. The rezone of the property was approved by the board on February 23rd of 2011, and the special development permit request is for a reduction in average lot width and square footage, as well as setback reductions for the RD5 product in the rear yard, and setback reductions for the RD20 product. There is a 75-foot sewer easement that runs through the property, and the park is located on that. The park is approximately 1.88 acres and provides a basketball court and trails. And this will go to the Planning Commission for final approval. And that concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer any questions. The applicant team is also here.
Thank you so much. If we can just have the applicant team introduce themselves for the record, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yes, hi, this is Derek Spalding with the True Life Companies. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Thank you.
Yes. All right, thank you. Yeah, we're here to answer any questions you might have. We also have Terry Reeves with CBG Engineering if there are any technical questions. He is also available. We're very excited about this project, and I've been working closely with staff over the last 8 months or so on it, and feel like we've come up with for the property, and would be happy to answer any questions and listen to your comment.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Do we have any, Madam Clerk, do we have any written comments or perhaps any members of the public who wish to provide any comments, questions, or concerns about this project?
This is Stephanie, the clerk. We did receive one written comment that has been distributed to the members. We currently do not have anybody on the line waiting to speak.
Thank you so much. And for the purposes of the record, for my fellow board members, have you all had a chance to see the written comment that was provided to item 1? I believe it was sent by Walk Sacramento via email, dated January 14th, 2021.
This is Member Trotter Betsy. I have received it and read it.
This is Member Brantley. I have also received it and read it.
And Chairperson Borja, Member Thompson does not have an email. So if he would like me to, I can read the comment out loud.
No, ma'am, that's okay. My wife read it to me. I do have some questions, though, about this subdivision.
Okay, let's move on to the board comments and questions. Member Thompson, please go ahead.
I'd like to know the road width. The width of the road?
Yeah, this is the applicant. Yeah. All the roads are in the RD5 section are the standard road sections for the community plan, the Florin Vineyard community plan. I think they're 32-foot and 38-foot rights away. The RD20 is going to be a private alley that is 20-foot minimum alley width.
I have an objection to that. I don't think your roads are wide enough. Because for this reason, you get 2 cars parked on that street and you can't get a fire truck down through there.
So this is David from planning. I would just add that they won't be permitted to park on either side of the 20-foot alley.
on either side of it?
Correct.
Excuse me, sir, but are you familiar with the handicap law?
So they do have accessible parking in they have off-street parking proposed with this. And I'll let the applicant address the ADA response.
Well, you know, the handicap law in the state of California says you will be able to park within 50 feet of where you're going. So that gives
Yeah,
them,
so
that gives
in
them the
in
right
the
to park
RD
in front of these houses.
in the RD20 parcel, each home will have a 2-car garage attached to their unit, and there are an additional, I think, 43 off-street parking spaces designated for the RD20. There are also on the adjacent public roads, the rights-of-way allow for parking on the side. So there will be parking available on the public streets as well. And then each of the RD5 homes will have also 2-car garages and driveways and street parking available for it.
Okay. Now you say these streets are how wide?
These are the alleys, the narrower alleys are 20 feet wide.
They're not wide enough.
We have a really tight product, and we're conforming to the minimum width required from a fire standpoint, as well as private alleys.
I think you better go measure a fire truck, because you're going to find out that the truck is 102 inches wide. By the time you add the mirrors, it's over 11 feet. The 2 fire trucks can't pass on your streets.
We will go back and verify our right-of-way widths and make sure we are conforming to and meeting fire's requirements.
Right, and just for clarification, this is David, the planner. This was reviewed by or routed to the fire department, and they did provide their comments.
What did they say about them?
They did not take objection to it.
Well, I'm still going to vote no on it, because I don't think your streets are wide enough. I used to drive truck, and I know that two trucks of today's width cannot pass on these streets. Now, your standard fire truck, as of right this second, is 8'4". You put the mirrors on it, and you got it over 10 foot.
Member Thompson, sorry, this is Member Brantley. If I may help with some of the confusion I think that's happening right now, is that okay?
Okay.
The 20-foot width is the alley where all of the garages that are on the back side of the units would be backing up into each other. So it's not actually, there is no parking back there. So it's 20 foot wide between the garages. Am I correct? That's how I interpreted
It's actually, we have a 20-foot alley with 3-foot easements on both sides. So we have 26 feet clear, minimum from building to building.
And that's the back side of each home.
Yeah, that is correct.
So that's not like a thoroughfare. It's just for people to be able to go park in their garages and come out. And then the streets are a different width, if that helps, Mr. Thompson.
Well, the streets are what I'm
correct.
attracted to.
The public streets.
The public streets are not wide enough.
Public streets are
The public streets.
Go ahead, Derek. Sorry.
Just saying the public streets match the community plan street section requirements.
In other words, you can park a car off the street when you go down it, according to the handicap law in California.
On the public streets surrounding the project and through the project, that is correct.
Because the state law of California says that anytime you got, now I got a 1-ton pickup out here that's got handicap plates on it. And if I was to pull into this neighborhood and park it on the street, somebody's going to come in and tell me I can't park it there? You can't. Not according to the state law. I can park on that street. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Member
So
Thompson,
These are consistent with all the streets within the community plan. So,
I think
we're
it's different with you. Your streets are not
RD5
wide enough.
section,
okay. Thank you. Sorry, this is Chairperson Borja. I believe that the county planner, Member Thompson, Mr. David, I'm forgetting your last name. I apologize, David. Please forgive me. Has committed to reviewing both the fire width and ADA accessibility. And at this time, in the interest of time with the applicant, unless there are other questions, I'd like for the county staff to have the opportunity to take back our questions about the width, because unless David is ready to answer those questions right now, and then just give us some time to answer those questions via email, perhaps, unless David, you're willing to answer those questions.
I'm happy to follow up with you guys. Also, just so everyone is aware, this would be conditioned to the fire department's requirements. The street sections we have reviewed for consistency with the Florin Vineyard community plan, and they are consistent. Also, the project would be have to be consistent with the Americans with Disabilities Act, and so we definitely take that seriously, and it would be conditioned as such.
Well, I had a long talk with Mr. Natoli last night, and this is what he told me. He says I should bring it up before the fire board, and until I get the fire board's recommendation, because another subdivider came in on another piece here a while back ago and told me, he'd been before the fire board. Well, when I called the fire marshal, she said no. It wasn't consistent. It wouldn't pass. So I had to talk with Mr. Natoli, and he told me, he says, you need to get together with a fire marshal. So that's what I'm requiring. I'm asking for the fire marshal to participate with a meeting with us the next time we have a meeting, so we can get this all clarified. And until that time, I'm going to vote no on it.
I believe, sorry, this is Member Brantley. I'm just looking at one of the documents that's posted on the Sac County website for this plan, and it says that there's a 32-foot right-of-way for minor residential streets and 38-foot right-of-way for primary residential.
Yes, so those are the public streets, and yeah, those are the street sections that the plan is with. The alleyway, there wasn't an alleyway standard in the community plan, so there were not sections that in that plan.
Understood. Okay. Thank you, Member Brantley. Thank you, Member Thompson. Are there any other comments or questions from the board before we move to making a motion?
Hi. So
this is Mary Duncan.
Oh, go ahead.
Just for a half a minute. I've been listening, and I'm okay with what I'm hearing. Could you just refresh my mind? What is the width of the alley?
So the alleyway is 20 feet.
20 feet.
Okay, so a car could enter and a car could exit, and it would be safe. If someone was coming home and someone was leaving home, it would be safe.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and this is David again. I did just want to add one piece of information before you guys deliberate further. So the RD20, they are required to meet 75% of the 20 units in acre density. So that is why they are as dense as they are. And 64 units was the least amount that they could have, and that's what they're at. So just some added info there. And also for some perspective, your standard parking stall is 9 feet by 20. So just if that gives some extra perspective for what a 20-foot might be.
Okay, thank you.
This is Member Trotter Getzey, and I had a question about the special development permit. Why are you requesting a reduction in the minimum lot square footage?
So I think I would move that to the applicant.
Yeah. In the RD5, due to the setbacks from the creek and the sewer easement and all the constraints on the site, we're meeting kind of the average density for the property, but our lot size needs to kind of go below the RD5 standard or minimum lot size in order to hit the density in an RD5 area with all the constraints that we're dealing with on the property.
And that's true for the RD20 also?
In the RD20, in order to get to the 64 units, we thought that a single-family detached was the right solution for the property in this RD20 zone, which is typically, in an RD20, it's more of an attached multifamily type project. We really feel that a small lot single-family detached is kind of an underserved market in this location and would do extremely well. And came up with this very creative solution for the property. But it does require reduced setbacks and special consideration in order to fit the 64 lots on the property. No, it's not. It's a type of project that is fairly common in all around Sacramento, but it does require the kind of the special development permit kind of variances in order to fit within the zoning.
Thank you. And then one other question, maybe David might be able to answer this. Have you read the Walk Sacramento suggestions? And if so, what are your thoughts on implementing those?
So I actually, it came in kind of late today, so I haven't read and completely analyzed it yet. I understand it references traffic calming, but I want to take a bit closer of a look at it before I can comment.
Okay. I'm not exactly with those ideas and comments, just because they do call for some changes with the walls and accessibility to Walmart and so forth. Has maybe the developer looked at the letter or the comments that we received?
I don't believe the developer has it yet.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
then
I have not seen those yet, but we're obviously not opposed to connections with Walmart. There's an existing wall that's going to remain that wraps on the north and east side of Walmart, but we are hopeful for a connection on the south side of Walmart where they don't have to walk around, the new wall on our property in order to connect with Walmart.
Okay, I'm going to try and find that letter while you guys still discuss.
I got one more question for you. You say your alleyways and stuff are only 20 feet wide?
That is correct.
Yes, the alleys in the RD20 parcel are 20 feet.
Okay. How is a guy going to park a 1-ton 4-wheel drive pickup in those alleyways? Full length 1-ton.
That would not be
pickup.
allowed. There is no parking allowed on the 20-foot alleys.
Well, yeah,
Whether it's a
garage entrance.
small car, or if you can fit it in the garage, you can park in the garage, or if you can fit it in the designated off-street parking areas, you can park in there, or you can park out on the public street.
I'd have to park it out here on the public street.
There are off-street parking spaces available in the RD20, so you do not have to park on the public street. There are designated spaces that would conform to Chapter 11B of the Building Code that provides accessible parking and connectivity as required.
Because I know I couldn't park my 1-ton truck in there because it's 21 feet long. And I darn sure wouldn't want to buy if I bought a house in there and then they tell me, well, you can't park your truck in front of your house or something.
Thank you. Didn't want to cut you off, Member Thompson. I believe that the applicants have considered your comment and provided a response. Are there, by any chance, any other comments from the board members before I would like to call for a motion?
Yes, this is Member Brantley. Oh, go ahead.
I'll wait. Hello?
Go ahead, Member Brantley.
Okay, okay, I'll wait. Thank you.
Sorry.
Well, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Whichever. You can go first.
I already called you Member Brantley, so if you can just go ahead and then I'll call on to the next person. Thank you.
Great. So my question would probably be for Terry or Mr. Spalding. I'm sorry, Terry, I don't know your last name. On the developer side. On Gerber Road, it looks as if there's a 25-foot landscaping and sidewalk where the RD5 homes are, but only 19 feet landscape and sidewalk where the RD20 is.
I'm sorry, can somebody please mute that phone? Thank you.
So I was just wondering about the difference in the landscape and sidewalk areas between the RD5 and the RD20 along Gerber Road.
Well, specifically
go ahead, Terry.
Specifically along the RD20 portion, we have there's an existing sewer easement as the large 75-foot easement comes across our project just on the south end, and it kind of cuts across our lower parking along the RD20. There is another sewer easement, and that's the sewer that connects to Walmart. So where that line, we're respecting their access to that sewer line. If we push it back anymore, we run into problems with that. And I believe the difference between zonings. I'm sorry, do you have a question?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, I was just agreeing. I was just understanding what you were saying. I apologize.
And I believe in the area standards, there is a different section there. It goes from 25 on the R5, but as you go to the R20, which is more of a multifamily, that section reduces. And so as we were playing with the sewer easement and trying to fit in there, I believe we held that reduced dimension based upon as being in a multifamily zoning.
Okay, thank you. So I had one other question about the this. I really like how you guys have this equestrian and like multi-use trail along Gerber Creek. I was wondering about the connectivity of that to the park. And I know this on the edge of the property. I just wanted to know if you knew, like, would there be an eventual connection based on the plan for the other side, like that's on the other side, like the future plans, I guess, to be, I guess that's the east side of this development? Or had you thought of maybe a walking area
Right.
that would connect
Yes.
the trail to the park?
So our eastern boundary is actually the North Vineyard Station Pacific plan,
Mm-hmm.
and current parcels next to us are not. There are no applications pending on those, I understand. But eventually that trail will continue to the east along the Gerber Creek section to the east. As far as internally, our landscape plans, we do intend to have crosswalks that go essentially across the streets in order to connect the park within the project to the trail system on the north side of the project. So there'll be 2 crosswalks to connect those, and then you get onto the sidewalk and then the pathway in the trail system.
Oh, so it does. So those crosswalks will help provide like a continuity then there for the, like, down to the park.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Exactly. That's yeah. We want to have essentially all the way from Walmart. There'll be a pathway along our Gerber Road frontage, and then through our park and up to the trail system.
Okay. Thank you.
With crosswalks.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you. And then I have one more question, if that's okay. I noticed we got a lot of details on the RD20 and not on the larger properties. But I was wondering, what I was reading in the Florin Vineyard Gap plan is that homes like facing, like, or at least one side of the homes should be facing the creek. And so I was wondering about, it looks like all of these properties are like side facing the creek. I imagine to have people take more ownership of like the creek and that open space. And is there any, I don't know if that's like our place right now to be asking questions about that. But that was something I was curious about with this layout, like what that would look like towards the creek, like along, I don't know, the top avenue, like whatever that top street is. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. The architecture for the RD5 portion does get submitted to the for design review at a later date. The architecture for the RD20 needs to come forward prior to tentative map, but for the RD5 it'd be after tentative map approval and before building permit essentially. That was a discussion also this morning during our design review advisory council meeting, and the intent is to have at least enhanced architecture along the sides of any homes that face the creek on the north.
Okay.
And potentially where possible, wraparound porches and that type of thing on the corner lots.
Oh, okay. Okay. And there's no chance of like making a path in that back corner of the, like through that wall, like to make the connectivity for like the, like through to Walmart. They have to go to Gerber or to the Elk Grove Florin side to be able to go into that shopping center, correct? Like, is that I don't know if that's a thing that we ask Walmart to do, or I don't know. Is there a way to connect?
It's not a real pleasant pedestrian connection at the back of Walmart, but
True.
But
That's true.
we do want to have, we do want to have a pedestrian connection from our RD20 to the Walmart on the south end, basically on the north side of our wall, so that they don't have to walk all the way around the wall. But where the sewer easement goes through to Walmart, we'd like to have a pedestrian connection there.
Okay. And there is that crosswalk there. Yeah, and that back exit is
Correct.
a light, is like a stoplight, so that would help with pedestrian traffic. Okay, well, thank you for answering my questions.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Member Brownlee. Can I please have the other member who, I'm sorry, I didn't catch their name.
Oh, yeah, actually, this is Mary Duncan, and I actually received an answer because I was thinking of the pathway between the new development and the Walmart area. I was concerned that it would not be a drive space because that would be an artery that other people might use just to avoid a stoplight. So if it's a pedestrian, that's great.
Okay, awesome. Good to hear.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
I have one. Are they gonna put these trails in and the walkways and everything for the trails? This is Bill Thompson, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you, Member Thompson.
The
applicants are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, David, but I believe construction of the trails is actually a condition of approval to the rezone that was placed on the property in 2011.
Yes, I believe that is correct.
Do I understand that you're going to put the trails in then?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. The only reason why I'm asking this question is there's been so much of these trails going to be put in, and none of it's ever been done.
Well, we certainly hope that we wish success for the applicant should their project be approved by our board and the Planning Commission. I did have one traffic-related question to both the county and the applicant. What were the traffic mitigation findings for this project, either in the environmental phase or through any traffic studies? Is there going to be any improvements at that would potentially be a busy cross street between Gerber and Elk Grove Florence? Or yes, Gerber and Elk Grove Florence.
This is David. So the environmental on this is deferring to the final environmental impact report for the Florin Vineyard Gap community plan. So the infrastructure would be subject to the phasing plan in that document.
When is the final EIR going to be approved?
So that final EIR was approved back in, I believe, the late 2000s. So it's been in place for some time, 2007.
Okay, so did you guys make an addendum to that EIR?
Yes,
or any additional traffic
mitigation? We did send to the Department of Transportation, and they confirmed that a further level of analysis for traffic for this would not be required due to the traffic analysis provided in the environmental impact report for the community plan. So essentially, since this project is consistent in terms of density with the community plan, there wasn't a need for further analysis on that front.
Okay, because the community plan articulated future growth, and you're considering this for the part of the future growth. Okay, understood. Will there be, once the homes are filled, be any other review on the traffic light optimization or signaling on the Gerber and Elk Grove Florence intersection? I mean, if not infrastructure changes, I'm just hoping at the very least an additional review by county DOT to see if their analysis back, 14 years ago now, almost 13 years ago, would still be applicable to the changing standards that we have, now. What I'm trying to say is that, we have multimodal folks like Walk Sacramento sending us recognition of all mobility options. In 2007, I believe this part of the county was still very dense, not so much densely populated, but now we're inviting more users of the system, both, Mr. Thompson's large pickup trucks to transit, to bikers, to walkers, pedestrians, and heck, even an equestrian trail. So we might be able to see caballeros and, cowboys out there with their horses. I live in Vineyard, so I will be glad to see multimodal uses. So at the very least, I know that you're saying that the EIR has already been considered for this, but...
Yeah, and so additionally, it was also, this specific project was more recently reviewed by the Department of Transportation, and they reviewed for consistency with more recent standards, and they found that a further or additional transportation analysis would not be required. And they also did have conditioned this project accordingly.
Okay, understood. Yes, sir, Mr. Thompson.
Yeah, are there going to be any signal lights for those people to make left turns to go out to go north or south on Gerber Road, or rather, I don't know. In other words, they won't be able to come out onto Gerber Road and turn one way. Say they come out, they can't go towards Bradshaw. That subdivision, can they? Are you guys going to put signal lights there or something?
The current proposal on Gerber is for right-in, right-outs. There was a discussion this morning about breaks in the median. We're hoping to get a left out, but there's no planned signal at those intersections on Gerber.
Okay, because the reason why I was asking...
the zoning condition...
The reason why I was asking is
Go ahead.
Gerber head towards Bradshaw is only one lane. And right now we've already got a mess there with the school buses and garbage trucks. So if you put a turn lane so they can go out and go towards Bradshaw there, we're going to have a bigger mess.
Yeah, right now the median is in place, and there's no ingress or egress across the median. The zoning conditions from 2011 did provide that a left turn egress would be allowed out of the project at a sufficient distance from the signal at the Walmart, which could occur at our eastern boundary.
This is David again from planning. So just for some clarity on this, they can't have a additional signal because it's too close to the other one at the intersection there at Elk Grove, Florin, and Gerber.
Well, they won't let them put a break through that medium, will they?
I believe at this point that's not contemplated.
Okay. In other words, they'd have to go up to the stoplight and make a U-turn there at Walmart and head back down Gerber.
Right.
Okay. That's what I was interested in.
This is sorry, Mr. Thompson. This is Member
okay.
Brantley. I had one other question about the size of the park. With the number of units, it seems to be on the smallish side for like the Title 22 equation. And so I was just wondering if someone could speak to that. because it should be like over 2 acres if I'm doing the math right.
So they have been discussing this with the Southgate Recreation and Parks District, and they're in current talks. I don't know if the applicant team could maybe speak to this a little bit more.
Yeah. So the proposed park size is 1.88 acres, and I think the Quimby requirement in total would be a little over 3. So we would be required to pay an in lieu fee for the remainder. We thought the 1.88 was appropriate for this project due to the additional 9.55 acres of open space that we're providing, along the creek with the equestrian trail and the multi-use trail along that area. So in total, the project is providing 12.6 acres of open space or parkland.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, if not hearing any more questions or comments, I would like to welcome a motion from the board.
I have one more comment, Chairman.
Okay, I apologize.
That's
Go ahead,
okay.
please.
This is Member Trotter-Getzy. So I was looking over the letter that the public comments from Walk Sacramento, and there are about 9 suggestions for changes. I know that it got to us, and so the presenters haven't had a chance to go through it, which I think kind of puts us in I don't know what I want to say, kind of a bind, I guess, because we need to vote one way or the other, but these are all really good suggestions. So I wanted to request, I don't know if we would need to put it into our motion or not, but I would like to request that the planner and the applicant get together with those questions that were put out, or those suggestions that were put out by Walk Sacramento. And then maybe if you could give written responses to them and then just share those with us. We still need to vote tonight, so we'll have to vote without answers to those questions. But I would like to have them put into the record so that, and the answers, that when this goes on to the next body, they have those concerns and then the applicant's response to those concerns.
This is David with planning. Yeah, so we'll definitely review and consider those and sit down with our landscape architect, our design review administrator, and the applicant team to work through these. I was hoping we could have received this earlier so we could have a better response for you, so I do apologize for that, but I think we would be open to that. Yeah. Okay.
I would appreciate that. And then once you come up with answers, would you then attach them to this file that we can go to view what's happening with the project?
I believe we could do that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments before I ask for a motion?
If I may respond to that last comment from the member, I apologize. I don't know your name, but quickly looking through those comments that David just emailed over, a good portion of those relate to curb ramps, and they're just not currently shown on the site plan. So most of those comments will be having curb ramps at every corner and meet all those connectivity requirements through the streets that they provide all those clouded areas. That's an intention that's just not on this level, this plan at the current time.
Great, thank you very much.
Sure, no
Right, and
problem.
this is David
Thank
again.
you.
Also, we'll be sure to include a response to these comments in the staff report as well.
Great, thank you.
And David, this is Member Brantley. That all goes to the Planning Commission when they make their decision as well?
Yes, that would go to the Planning Commission.
Thank you.
Okay. Third time's the charm. Any other questions or comments before I ask for a motion? Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion from the board?
I'll make a motion that we vote on it.
Okay. All right.
Member Trotter Getsy, I make a motion that we approve this application as presented.
Okay.
Second that. This is
Okay,
Mary
thank
Ann.
you. I think I got a second. Madam Clerk, so I just want to make sure that we got the Robert Rules of Order. So Member Thompson had a motion for us to vote, but I think that we have to vote on either approve or not. So can I just use the motion of the second I can't remember who it was.
Trotter Getsy.
Trotter Getsy.
This is Stephanie. So from my notes, I have Member Trotter Getsy making the motion to approve. So we just need a second.
I offered
Okay.
a second to Mary Duncan.
Okay.
Sorry, who?
All right.
Sorry, what was the second?
Mary Duncan?
Okay, thank you. So I have a motion by Member Trotter Getsy and the second by Member Duncan.
Okay. Madam Clerk, could you please call for the vote?
Member Brantley?
Yes? Is yes appropriate?
Yes.
Yes.
Member Duncan?
Yes.
Member Johnson? Member Miller? Member Sylvester? Member Thompson?
I vote no.
Member Trotter Getsy?
Yes.
And Member Borja?
Yes.
So motion carries, and I'd like to note that Member Thompson voted no, Member Johnson, Miller, and Sylvester were absent.
Okay. Thank you. For the county, the applicant, we'll look forward to your. I believe that is the. Hopefully, we can just get responses from the Walk Sacramento comment letter. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, I believe we are ready to move on to item 2. Wild Hawk West resubmit. Is the county team ready?
Yes, good evening, CPAC members. This is Jessie Shun. I am the lead planner for this project, and I have a presentation. I'll get started. Next slide, please. Just before we start, all project materials can be viewed on planningdocuments.saccounty.net. The best way to retrieve project materials is to use the control number, which is PLNP 2018-00294. Next
Jesse,
slide.
I'm
Yes.
sorry to interrupt. Is it okay if I read the item into the record, please?
Oh, sorry. Yes. Sorry, Steph.
Item 2, Wild Hawk West resubmission located at 7691 Bradshaw Road in the Vineyard community. Request is for a resubmission of an expired tentative subdivision map and design review. Thank you.
Thanks, Steph. Can we go to the next slide, please? The project site is 10.2 acres in the residential 7 with flood combining overlay zoning district. It is located at 7691 Bradshaw Road, approximately 0.2 miles south of the Gerber Road and Bradshaw Road intersection in the Vineyard community. Next slide, please. As Steph called it out. It's a resubmission of an expired tentative subdivision map to divide approximately 10.2 gross acres into 64 single-family residential lots and 1 landscape lot in the RD7 with flood combining overlay zoning district, as well as a design review to comply with the countywide design guidelines. A bit of background, this map is part of the former Wild Hawk West project that was approved in March of 2015. That greater project also included a general plan amendment, a community plan amendment and rezone, as well as a comprehensive plan amendment to the Vineyard Springs Comprehensive Plan. All 3 of those entitlements, the general plan amendment, community plan amendment, and rezone, as well as the comprehensive plan amendment, have been effectuated, and that is how you get the current zoning designation and general plan land use designation on the site. The map itself expired in early 2018 and it is no longer valid. Next slide, please. And so the resubmitted tentative subdivision map, and then the slide after this is the traffic calming exhibit. Those 2 exhibits that are part of this current resubmittal are the exact same as what was approved in 2015. So this is the tentative subdivision map. You'll see that there's access to the project from Bradshaw Road. There are adjacent projects that are either already approved or currently in progress. 2 that I would like to mention are Wild Hawk North Unit 10 to the east, and that is where B Way would connect to and turn into, there's a street that goes towards the south when you hit the eastern portion of B Way, and Wild Hawk Northeast, which is located to the south, and that time extension for that map was approved in 2016. So there are considerations of several other projects in the area, and this project connects well to those other ones. Next slide, please. This is the traffic calming exhibit that is being resubmitted with this project that was also previously approved. You'll see that there are speed humps added along B Way. There's 2 of them, as well as stop signs. Next slide, please. This is just a reiteration of the points that I had made throughout the presentation. The previously approved map had expired in early 2018, and so this resubmittal is to approve this map and basically make it alive again. There are adjacent projects, and this project takes into account the context of those adjacent projects and connections to them. This project was heard by DRAC today, and DRAC recommended that the final hearing body, which is the Planning Commission, find the project in substantial compliance with the countywide design guidelines. The final hearing body for this project is the Planning Commission, and we do not have a date set yet. The anticipated environmental document is the addendum to the prior MND, and the addendum is really triggered because of the South Sac HCP, and we just need to make sure that because that regulation has been adopted, that the prior mitigated neg deck is still applicable, and just documenting that. I am available for any questions, and we also have the applicant/owner on the line, as well as the applicant.
Sorry, Emily, are you still there? Ms. Shen?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you cut off. Can we please have the applicant introduce themselves and for the record? Thank you.
Yes, hi, this is Jim Gillum representing the applicant.
Thank you for joining us this evening. Are there any other comments that the applicant may want to add before we start with the questions?
Yes, I'd just like to add that thank you for having us this evening. Again, Jim Gillum representing the applicant. The project is, as Planner Shen mentioned, interconnected with several other properties. You'll see that in the street patterns. It's all aligned with those roadways and the planned section of Bradshaw Road. The lotting pattern is block and grid, but there are a couple of cul-de-sacs out of respect for the northern property, which at the time the project was originally conceived was anticipated to be a library. Don't know what the final use of that property will be, but it is owned by the county. So happy to answer any questions you may have. Again, Jim Gillum available for questions.
Okay, thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments from the board at this time?
I have one question. Are all your street widths going to stay the same?
Our street widths in this are county standard rights of way. We have the smallest ones we have are 40 feet in width. So that's, and then we have 46s and 50s.
Okay. I don't have no objections to that at all.
Wonderful.
You got plenty of room for parking and everything else.
This is Member Trotter Getzy. Quick question for the applicant. Where did you say the land is that the county owns?
If we could go back to the slide with the tentative map, that'd be great. If I can make reference, but it's the parcel, that one right there would be great. The parcel to the north of the application area, if you could see it more clearly, just north of what it says, one court, there's a notation that the APN 122-0010-018 is owned by the county of Sacramento.
Okay. I thought a number of years ago they were talking about a library, but then we never heard anything until you just mentioned it tonight, and I thought, okay, I'm not losing my mind.
You're not, and then that's why you'll see at the end of Court 1 there's an opportunity for a connection should that move forward. There's a proposed irrevocable offer of dedication of 40 feet.
Okay, great, thank you.
Well,
Yeah, and I'd like to add, this is Jesse with planning, that we have been in contact.
I can't hear Jesse. Can anybody else?
No.
No.
I can't hear her either.
Jesse?
Now?
Hello, Jesse, are you still there?
Hi, are you able to hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Wanted to add that we have been in coordination with library staff to find out, just to get a status update on that library for you guys. But we have not heard back, and we check in with them fairly often. And when we get some semblance of an answer, we will let you guys know as well. I'm sure you guys are interested.
Thank you. Jesse, this is still Member Trotter Getzy. I had a few other questions.
Yes.
Let me flip to it here. Wild Hawk North Unit 10. So that is all through planning now and is being developed. Is that what you were saying?
Wild Hawk North Unit 10 is directly east of this project site, and I believe it just went to Planning Commission yesterday, and is gearing up for the board.
Okay, so it did go through us, if I remember correctly.
It would have needed to go through, yes. Through you guys, yes.
And then my other question, the one that we gave a time extension to in 2016, how long do they have before that will expire?
I have to verify it, if you can give me a second, but it should have been a 5-year extension from the date of approval in 2016.
Okay, so probably end this year.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Let me, if you guys want to continue your discussions, let me just take a look through and I can verify that for you, if that's okay.
That does sound right. I do think that they are 5 years. Thank you.
Yeah, Member Trotter Getz, this is Joellen, and I just wanted to chime in there that it is 5 years, the extension that they applied for and received. They also, because their map will expire during this period of the pandemic, there was a state statutory extension that went into effect that any projects that expired during from March to all the way through the calendar year of 2021 would be extended for 18 more months.
Oh, very good.
So they'll have it. Mm-hmm.
This is Bill Thompson. When were they figuring on starting on this subdivision or having it approved by the Board of Supervisors?
This is the applicant, Jim Gillum again. This property is currently in that flood combining zone. There are some projects that are in the works that would rectify that situation, so we are contingent upon those. We don't have a definite start date for this.
This is Member Brantley. I had a question. If I'm following along on the presentation accurately, Ms. Shen, are you available yet?
Yes. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
You were looking something up, so I didn't want to bother you with another question if you were looking something up.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So if I'm understanding correctly, there's another community that'll be connected at B Way, and then another one that would connect at A and C. Is that correct?
So I think the best way to describe this, and I apologize, I didn't have the adjacent maps pulled up and inserted into this PowerPoint. Steph, can we go to the traffic calming exhibit? Yep. Okay. So B Way, the eastern end of B Way, you'll see that there is a north-south street to the east of the project site that kind of curves eastward towards the bottom. That is Wild Hawk Unit 10. And then where there is, I believe that says D Way, where that B Way or D Way, where there's like lots 48, 47. There, that street connects downward to Wild Hawk northeast.
Okay. So my question was, with the combination of these three, I'm not sure how many units are in these other ones, but will there be like open space, trails, park, anything in the combination of these three?
I believe there are open space proposed in. Oh, okay, Joelle, do you mind taking this?
Yeah, I can take that. So specifically for the Wild Hawk 10 project that is directly east of this, it borders along the Gerber Creek corridor, and so there's an open space, and it also includes a park site. I believe it's 9 acres. And there is, I believe, some park facilities in the Wild Hawk Northwest project to the south, but I'm not as fresh on that one because Wild Hawk 10 just went to the Board of Supervisors on Tuesday. So, and it was approved at the Board of Supervisors, just FYI to everyone. And that was its final hearing. But yes, there is park sites adjacent and additional open space corridors with trails planned as well.
And the trails would be along the creek, which is essentially along this backside of the, like where 36, 35, 34, 33, like that backside of it.
It's a little further. It's eastern of that. So it goes through the Wild Hawk 10 project, and then the creek corridor goes along that area. Additionally, just for the Vineyard CPAC's benefit, there's also a pedestrian bridge that is going to be or is contemplated in that area to connect across the corridor, across the actual creek, to connect the homes that have been approved on the other Wild Hawk project name that is I'm blinking on right now, and those projects on the north side of the creek, so that they can get to the park site as well. So
great. So this community, so there would theoretically be other homes behind this one before you get to the creek?
Yes, it will be like lots 36, 35, and 34 will be bordered by a road. And then there will be units on the other side of that, homes on the other side of that road.
Okay.
Yes.
So, but this community would have access, crosswalks and things like that to get across the future road. And okay, so there's like that connectivity. And then for I know that it was already answered that at one court there's a potential opening for connection to maybe a library if the county is using this space as a library in the future. Will the wall be built there, or is it going to be left open? I just feel like once a cinder block wall goes up, the likelihood of it coming down is.
That's good. That's a great question, Joelle or Jesse. I don't anticipate that we will have a cinder block wall in that location.
You will not, yeah, that's correct. There will be no wall along the boundary of the northern boundary. It will only be along Bradshaw.
Yeah, so it would be so just for the members' benefit, there will be a fence on the north side of those lots, and where that road will offer of dedication is, we can work with the county as to whether or not it's appropriate to. I would think you'd want at a minimum a white rail fence to know that they shouldn't trespass on the county's undeveloped property. But maybe not a full-blown fence. We can discuss that with planning.
Okay.
We're open to either solution.
Because I guess I'm just asking because this isn't actually like we're approving this traffic calming, right? We're not approving like this plan. Is that correct?
The plan, this exhibit that they're showing is just indicative. It's a little bit easier to read than the map itself. The lotting is up for approval.
Okay. So then on this northern border, it's just going to be like picket, like the 6 foot tall picket fencing type of thing, like the wood fencing.
Yeah, 6 foot tall solid wood fencing.
Okay. So that's okay. So then that space, just to clarify, that space will be open, or maybe some sort of more temporary fencing would be there to leave it open pending what the county says?
Yeah, we're open to whatever the planning staff wants to do there. Again, the reason I mentioned the two rail white fencing, that's typically what you put up at the end of a future dump street.
I understand what you're talking about now. Okay,
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, the cinder block walls seem to be so confining, and they block communities off from one another. So I was just hoping. So would it be the same at Court 3?
Correct. That whole northern boundary, we do not anticipate a block wall. The only block wall in this project is anticipated adjacent to the western boundary where it meets Bradshaw for noise and those lots.
Great. Okay, thank you.
My pleasure.
Excuse me, this is Bill Thompson. Is lot 1 and 2 the two lots you're talking about for the library?
No, sir. It's the parcel that is north of the project. It's off-site to our project, but it's adjacent to it.
Okay. In other words, the map don't show it.
Correct, because it's not a part of our project.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
I have one other question. When are they going to start? When are they going to start pushing this map through?
If I could understand that question a little better, the Planning Commission, we would anticipate, and Ms. Shen could give us a better indication, but we would anticipate within the next several months we would be for the Planning Commission for approval of the tentative map. But as I mentioned earlier, because of the improvements to the drainage facilities in the area, we are contingent as far as construction on some other activities. So we don't have a definite timeline.
Okay. Well, you got some invernal ponds in there?
No, sir. It has to do with off-site drainage that breaks out of the creek to the south and crosses over a number of properties. That's why the flood zoning is there, and we won't be able to develop until that situation is resolved.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from the board before we move to public comments? Okay. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, are there any public comments or any written material submitted for this item?
This is Stephanie, the clerk. We have not received any written comments, and we do not have anybody waiting on the line.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask if there's a motion from the board.
I motion we vote on it.
Okay. Is there a second?
This is Member Trotter Getzey. I second the motion that we accept the application as written.
This is the clerk, Stephanie. Member Thompson, what was your motion, to approve or deny?
I approve to, I want to approve it.
Okay, so I have a motion by Member Thompson to approve.
Yes, ma'am.
And the second was by Member Trotter Getzey?
Correct.
Got it. Okay, with that, I can do the roll call vote.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Okay. Member Brantley?
Yes.
Member Duncan?
Yes.
Member Johnson is absent. Member Miller is absent. Member Sylvester is absent. Member Thompson?
I approve yes.
Member Trotter Getzey?
Yes, approve.
And Member Borja?
Aye.
And motion passes.
Okay, thank you very much. And we wish you success on the next Planning Commission meeting. Thank you for
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. Thank you, staff.
Okay, Madam Clerk, can we please read item number 3?
Item number 3 is a presentation for the North Vineyard Station Open Space Preserve Trail and Landscaping Project.
Thank you. Do we have the county staff ready to present?
We do.
Okay, this is Michael Meany. Oh, okay. Okay, so yeah, my name's Michael Meany. Can I just get started here? Are we ready to go?
Yeah, good evening, Michael. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Sure. Okay, so so I'm with Sacramento County Department of Water Resources. I'm in the drainage design section. We do capital improvement projects for the county. That improve the drainage infrastructure where we have issues. On this project, we are actually kind of in the area we've been talking about earlier tonight on some other projects. We're in the North Vineyard Station, Vineyard Springs area, drainage master plan areas, and we're basically putting together, going through and we've done some deepening, widening of the Elder and Gerber Creek in this area. And this project, Elder Creek Phase 4 and Gerber Creek Phase 1, we are starting the landscaping and trail portion installation on a couple of the stretches of it. So the reason we're presenting here is that we went to the board to advertise for our project. Supervisor Natoli requested that we provide a project update to the Vineyard CPAC, so that's why we're here tonight. So we can go to the next slide, please. All right, so our project, like I said, is part of the North Vineyard Station and Vineyard Springs planning area drainage master plan. So I'm going to give just a quick project background just for those who need a refresher, or if you're not aware of the project, it's been a few years. So North Vineyard Station specific plan and Vineyard Springs community plan were approved in the late 90s and early 2000s. And both planning areas or portions most drain to Elder and Gerber Creeks. Now in this what you see here on the slide is the orange area is the area of North Vineyard Station that drains the Elder and River Creek, and the magenta area is like the Vineyard Springs area. I guess there's a little bit of a break there, but there's a portion of Vineyard Springs that drains to Gerber Creek. Laguna Creek is also in that watershed, but we're talking about Elder and Gerber Creek on this. So the drainage master plans was approved in the mid-2000s. The drainage master plans identify improvements needed to remove existing floodplains along these creeks to allow development to occur. And so what you see in like the darker orange and the darker magenta, those are like the creek improvements that are identified, and the basins are kind of like the blobs that are needed to be constructed to mitigate the floodplain so that areas can be developed. The entire area is roughly 4+ miles of creek that need to be deepened and widened. And as part of this process, for the improvements, Department of Water Resources need to obtain environmental permits, which require a preserve and natural open space corridor. We can go to the next slide, please. All right, so we're going to kind of talk about the construction phases. So the construction phases are the deepening, widening kind of phases of the project. There's like really the way we approached it was like to construct and deepen and widen the creeks, and then go back through and decorate and plant everything after everything's deepened and widened. So we're basically taking the original creek depths, just to give an idea, was ranging from 4 to 5 feet deep, roughly 30 to 40 feet wide. And now we've deepened and widened these creeks to 8 to 10 feet deep, 10-foot low flow channel, 40 to 50-foot channel bottom with a varying top width, 100 to 150 feet. So quite a bit wider to corral all that floodplain. Let's see. So we're deepening widening. Like I said, we're going back at a later date to install the trails was the plan. Construction. So these slides, we're going to talk about the construction phases. So starting in 2016 was when the first creek section was deepened, and that was the Gerber Creek Phase 1 reach. You can see there, kind of in the brown. And that was completed by a developer. Okay, next slide, please. And so in 2017, these stretches of creek were deepened and widened. So Elder Creek 1A and 1B, which is the green and red. Elder Creek Phase 3, which is the purple. River Creek Phase 2 is the blue. And all those were done by a developer, and the county, which is our department, constructed Elder Creek Phase 4 in 2017 as well. Next slide, please. 2018, the county constructed Gerber Creek Phase 3. Next slide, please. And then this last year and this year, currently under construction, County Department of Transportation is doing the Elder Creek Phase 5 reach for us with their bridge replacement project on Elk Grove Foreign Road. If you've been down there, you've probably seen that. And once that stretch of creek, the Elder Creek Phase 5 was kind of the last piece that in this stretch that hadn't been lowered. So you probably noticed kind of looked like a pond in that Elder Creek Phase 3 reach. That'll be going away once that gets lowered, and everything will drain and it'll flow like a regular creek. Next slide, please. And then plan is in 2022, 2023 to do the last stretch that are part of the Drainage Master Plan, which is at Gerber Creek Phase 4, which is north of Gerber Road, kind of east of Bradshaw. All right. And then one thing I want to note, I know on the earlier slide I talked about basins being constructed. The basins aren't part of our permitting. So we're, as a county, we're making sure, and developers, building these creeks, when the developers do their projects, for instance, Vineyard Creek, they had to construct the basins. So as the developments come in, they construct the basins as they need. So eventually they'll all come online with those projects. And the Vineyard Creek project, which is kind of between the two creeks there, they constructed 2 of those basins with that project. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so now we're getting into the planting phases. So now that we've kind of got everything almost complete, we're starting the the planting phase, which is what we are doing, kicking off this summer and fall, which is the Elder Creek Phase 4 stretch there in orange, is downstream of Elk Grove Foreign Road, as well as that Gerber Creek Phase 1 reach there. That's kind of in the tan, which is between Waterman Road and the railroad. Next slide, please. And then 2022, we plan to plant Elder Creek Phase 1A and 1B. Next slide. And then 2023, we plan to plant these phases, Elder Creek Phase 1A, which makes up the rest of the original. Gerber Creek Phase 1 and Gerber Creek Phase 1A make up the full length of the Gerber Creek Phase 1 that was constructed. We just broke it up just to make the planting a little more, break it up a little bit more, because there's a lot of plants to plant at once. So I'm trying to do it in phases so we can get enough plants. And then Gerber Creek Phase 2, Elder Creek Phase 5, and Elder Creek Phase 3 in 2023. Next slide, please. And then 2024 is the rest, planting the rest of the upper Gerber stretches, Gerber 3, Phase 3, and Gerber Creek Phase 4. All right, next slide, please. All right, so what is this going to look like? This is conceptual cross sections of the creek that were put together as part of the our permitting process. So basically, you're going to have creek wetlands within the creek planted. You'll have an upland buffer, we call it, kind of on the top of the slopes, where you're going to have trees, shrubs, grasses. All these things are native to California and the area. And the upland buffer includes a paved multi-use trail and an equestrian trail, and it's only on one side of the creek. And one thing to note is the trail doesn't occur on all stretches of the creek. It was laid out with the original plan. I'm not sure how they came up with the alignment, but it's most of the creek sections have it. The lower elder sections do not. And then as a part of this project, after we plant all these different phases, we have to monitor and maintain the plants to make sure they get established, which is part of the environmental permits that we have. And once the 5-year monitoring is done, Southgate Recreation Park District will ultimately own the creek corridor and manage it, the preserve, and there will be a conservation easement over the entire preserve. All right, next slide, please. All right, so that brings us to our project this year. So Elder Creek Phase 4, as I mentioned, in the orange, and Gerber Creek Phase 1 in the tan there. Again, a minimum 5-year monitoring maintenance period to ensure plant survival, and transfer to Southgate after monitoring is done. And during this whole process of putting these plans together with this phase and also in the future phases, and overall project, we've been coordinating with Southgate. So they've been having input, Southgate and the permitting agency. So everyone's been reviewing and improving all this stuff. So next slide, please. Okay, so here's just the cover sheet from the plans that we got going there that we put together. Again, kind of shows another vicinity map with a kind of an aerial photo in the back of the two locations. As part of our process of all our projects, we always do public outreach. We send out project newsletters in October to the property owners that are adjacent to the project areas. In addition, we also have a project website that includes the project information and newsletter. So if anybody wants to go and see it, they can check it out. You just go to our Sacramento County Water Resources website, and you search for Gerber Creek Phase 1. It should come up, and you can kind of take a look at that information there. Next slide, please. All right, so here's, I want to kind of just show one of the landscape plan drawings from our project that we will be installing. This one's from one of the sheets from Gerber Creek. So you can kind of see all the trees that we're planting in the upland area on the slopes. The smaller ones are kind of shrubs, and then there's the whole thing's sprayed with hydroseed grass, native grass. In the bottom of the creek, there's like a low flow channel that's 10 feet wide, and there's like a 50-foot kind of bottom. And so that bottom outside the low flow channel is going to have wetland plantings that you can see. And then on the south side of the creek there on the bottom, you can see the trails. So there's the wider one is the paved bike multi-use trail, and then the skinnier one is just a dirt equestrian trail. Next slide. And that pretty much wraps it up for me. That's my contact information if anybody has any questions outside of this meeting. And with that, if anybody has any questions, I can answer them.
This is Member Brantley. I was just curious. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for sharing all that information with us. Will you be? Does the county work with the Sacramento Tree Foundation for tree planting, for like the oak tree planting?
Yeah. So we actually, it's funny. We are like planting a lot more than we are required to mitigate for that we're removing. And at one point we kind of explored that, but it was since the overall, we had a conceptual planting plan that was part of our 404 permit. And that showed all the plantings, even outside of kind of what we were, needed to mitigate for. And county, like the CEQA, our county folks, interpreted that since we showed everything, what we showed on a conceptual plan was everything, and that kind of is the mitigation. So since they count that as a mitigation, we couldn't have Sac Tree come and plant, because we were going to try everything outside of what we needed to replace. All the extra plantings we were going to plant. We were going to see if they could use it as one of their banks and plant the rest of it, but turned out that we couldn't do that because that'd be kind of like double dipping now. If we had them plant stuff as a bank, it's and it's supposed to be part of our mitigation, then we couldn't do that basically. So.
Oh, the reason I ask is because I know that they're very big on making sure that all of the oak trees they plant are from native seeds.
Mm-hmm.
And so.
Yeah, we have. I mean, everything we have. Everything's got to be native, and we have requirements in our specs and stuff for all that. So we should be meeting those requirements.
And then, did you say the only space that doesn't have the trails is the Elder Creek?
So I didn't include a map for this, but if you look at the planning websites for North Vineyard Station, I believe it shows the map, shows the trail, but pretty much the trail will be located. If you go, I don't know if you go back in the slides to like the third slide, or even that, third slide's right there. Well, go one forward. Yeah, you go forward so it shows all the phases. So go forward two clicks, please.
Oh, I'm doing it on my computer. I apologize.
There you go, right there. That's perfect. So basically, I can tell you where the trail is, and it's on only one side of the creek. So so basically upstream of the confluence, so where the Elder and Gerber Creek. So at Elder Creek Phase 3 and Gerber Creek Phase 2, where those kind of come together. Basically east of there's trail. So the trail is along Gerber Creek Phase 1, 1A, and then it kind of follows up. It goes into 2 a little bit, and it goes north. There's a sewer easement. The regional sand has a big interceptor line, and the trail follows that interceptor line north, which is kind of close to that Jordan lane or drive, wherever that is. And it kind of goes up there, and then it connects up back into Elder Creek Phase 1A, and then it goes along Elder Creek Phase 1A towards Florin Road. So that's where the trail is. It's also on Gerber Creek Phase 3 and Phase 4, but that trail won't be constructed with our projects. And the reason for that is developers don't own that land now, and we couldn't. We only acquired enough land to construct through eminent domain, public use. We could only go after what we needed for the creek right now. So we only got enough room to construct the creek. But when developers come in and develop all that, the trail will be installed with those plans. So there ultimately will be trail basically from the upper Gerber. So that Gerber Creek Phase 4 will tie into that Wild Hawk Squallhawk North that was talked about earlier. It'll connect up to that trail and then go all the way along, basically all the way down to Gerber Creek Phase 2 and then up Elder Creek or Phase 1A and 1B to Florin Road.
Well, and the Elder Creek Phase 3 is the part of Champion Oaks that we were talking about today.
Yeah.
So those will connect with the Champion Oaks. Got it.
See, that I'm not sure of because there is no trail for our plan along there because it gets really skinny. And our trail, the master plan trail
just
that
from Gerber Creek Phase 2, that would
Gerber Creek. So at Pasalis Lane. So the trail is on the south side of the creek for Gerber Creek Phase 1, or Gerber Creek Phase 1 and 1A. It's on the south side, and then at Pasalis Lanes, it crosses to the north side, and then that's where it goes north. So it doesn't, as far as I know, it doesn't go east on Gerber Creek Phase 2. And I don't know if Southgate's got any plans to connect that up some other way, but in the plan that I'm aware of, North Vineyard Station does not have a trail along Gerber Creek Phase 2 on the south side.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or comments for the presenter? Okay, hearing none. Madam Clerk, are there any comments from the public or any written comments about this item?
This is Stephanie, the clerk. We have not received any public comments, and there is no one waiting on the line.
Awesome. Thank you so much. If I recall correctly, are we voting on this?
No, this is just an informational item.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.
Sure.
Your presentation.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now we are on to the next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 4 is the Vineyard Community Planning Advisory Council recommended nomination of the agricultural residential representative to the Sacramento Central Groundwater Authority.
Okay. Do we have a for this item? I'm not sure. If we have a presenter for this item? But I believe that
we received letters from the two candidates in email.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to pull up an email from Supervisor Natoli. Hold on just a second. I apologize. Supervisor Natoli's Chief of Staff, Rebecca Thornton Sloan, sent an email that the two nominations, let me read the email, sorry. Back in August, former chair, Mr. Costa, reached out to Supervisor Natoli's office seeking input regarding the South County Groundwater Authority nomination. Two applicants emerged for consideration, and our office received helpful input from community stakeholders. Specifically, Supervisor Natoli received comments of support for nominating David Trask as the SCGA representative and Tim Mullins as the SCGA alternate. The supervisor is supportive of these nominations coming forward to the Vineyard CPAC and looks forward to hearing more from your deliberations. The clerk of the board's office indicated that SCGA nomination is up for consideration with the Vineyard CPAC this evening. And if there's any other assistance that we may need from their office, please do not hesitate to contact them. Signed, Rebecca Thornton Sloan, Chief of Staff to Supervisor Don Natoli. Okay. With that said, are there any comments or discussions from regarding those two nominees?
This is member Trotter Getzey. I read both of their letters and their statements, and they seem like excellent candidates. We don't have to between the two, and that we can make one the main candidate and one the backup candidate.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
Excuse me, but isn't there supposed to be two guys running for this position or for this board? They needed two people on to fill their seats. I was under the impression.
Yes, one would be, this is Alma from the clerk of the board's office. One would be the member and the other one would be the alternate, member Thompson.
Oh, okay. I make a motion we vote on it.
Yes, sir. Any second?
I just want to double check. Sorry, this is member Trotter Getzey. I thought they were both excellent candidates, and to tell you the truth, I wasn't sure who to put forward, but since Natoli recommended Trask as the main member and Mullins as the backup, I'm fine with that. Did any of the other members have any thoughts as to why we would need to switch that or should switch that or anything?
I will be supportive of Supervisor Natoli's recommendations.
Okay.
I'm supportive of it too.
Do you need a motion?
That we vote on it.
I would need a second for the original motion if someone would be so inclined.
This is Stephanie, the clerk. Who made the original motion?
I believe that was Mr. Thompson.
Okay, so I have member Thompson is making the motion to appoint or to recommend the applicant Trask and Mullins as the alternate.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Yeah,
yes,
let's go for a vote.
Okay, so we need a second.
This is member Trotter Getzey. I'll second.
Fine.
Okay, and I would just like the record to show that we do not have any public comment on this item.
Duly voted. Thank you.
And with that, I can do roll call.
Go ahead, Madam Clerk. Thank you so much.
Member Brantley?
Yes.
Member Duncan?
Yes.
Member Johnson? Member Miller? Member Sylvester? Member Thompson?
Yes.
Member Trotter Getzey?
Yes.
And Member Borja?
Yes.
And motion passes.
Awesome. So much, Madam Clerk. Let's move on to items. Oh, I'm sorry, Member Thompson. Go ahead, sir.
I have a question. What happened to these two people or these three people that aren't showing up?
Member Thompson, are you referring to the other council members?
Yes, ma'am.
I do not know. I know one of the members couldn't make it, but the other two, I'm not sure.
Okay, I was just curious because it seems like we only, the last two meetings that we've had on the phone, we've only had just have a quorum and that's it. So I was just wondering why these other people don't show up.
I'm not sure at this time.
Okay. I'm just curious. Curiosity killed the cat and satisfaction brought it back.
This is member Trotter Getzey. Did I hear you say earlier that John Costa is no longer with us?
That is correct. Member Chairperson Costa is no longer on the board. He has resigned.
Okay. So Joe Hill, are you officially our chair?
I believe as of right now, until we move to item number 5, I believe there's
Yes, that brings us to our next item, which is the annual election of officers.
Okay, great.
This is Member Brantley. Since this is my first meeting, can I know a little bit more about this? Like what you do in those positions?
And this is Stephanie, the clerk. So the chair would, just like Chairperson Borja did today, would run the meeting, and then the vice chair would be the backup in case the chair is not present. So we'll just need a motion and a second for a chair and a vice chair.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are we doing that now?
We are, yes.
Oh. I put forward, this is Member Trotter Getzey, and I put forward a motion that Member or Vice Chair Borja be in the position of chairperson for the Vineyard CPAC.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm honored.
So
y'all sure you don't want the chairwomanship, Miss Trotter Getzey?
Nope, I'm good.
Oh, please.
So I have a motion to appoint Member Borja as chair, and a second or motion by Trotter Getzey and seconded by Thompson. Would you like me to do a roll call vote?
Yes, please.
Member Brantley?
Yes.
Member Duncan?
Yes.
Member Johnson?
Yes.
Member Miller? Member Sylvester? Member Thompson?
Yes, ma'am.
Member Trotter Getzey?
Yes.
And Member Borja?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you very much, everyone. I really appreciate it.
Happy New
You're
Year.
quite welcome, sir. I don't envy your job.
Neither do I.
So that would put us to a vice chair. So we just need a motion and a second for a vice chair.
Come on, Mary.
No.
Mary, you don't want to be vice
Remember,
chair?
I'm retired. I travel.
I'm brand new, so I don't know if I'm the best candidate. This is Member Brantley. I am willing to help, but if there's no one else.
I'll make a motion that she be nominated for the job.
I will second.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Am I allowed to second?
Yes. So I have a motion of vice chair for Member Brantley, motion by Member Thompson, and second by Member Borja.
Awesome. Thank you. Any other discussions or concerns? Hearing none, if we can just call for a vote, please. Thank you.
Member Brantley?
Yes.
Member Duncan?
Yes.
Member Johnson? Member Miller? Member Sylvester? Member Thompson?
Yes.
Member Trotter Getzey?
Yes.
And Member Borja?
Yes.
And motion passes.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. It's nice to meet you, and I'm very happy to be here to help. Thank you.
By fire.
Thank you very much. Service.
I asked a question earlier tonight, and I want to know if anybody's got any objections. I'd like to have the fire marshal that's ahead of the fire department come in and talk to us about these fire trucks and the road widths we've got, because I was over in Churchill Downs here the other day, which I told the county person, and I wouldn't want to drive my 1-ton truck through there. Now, your fire trucks, I measured one of your fire trucks. You guys might think I'm pulling your leg, but the one I measured was 8'4". And the standard width for trucks now is 102, which makes them 8'6". And by the time you get your mirrors and everything on your trucks, you got 11 foot. I talked to Mr. Natoli about this, and he thought my idea was good. He suggested that we have the county man that's ahead of traffic come down and talk with us about it. Has anybody got any objections to this?
Not at all.
No objections, Member Thompson. Just please let us know how we could help. If you'd like for us to send some email or maybe ask some of the county staff to coordinate.
Well, the county person I talked to earlier tonight said that she would try to arrange it.
I'm sorry, this is Alma Munoz from the Clerk of the Board's office. We can add that to our action summary and share the information with the districts. However, we cannot make the fire marshal meet with the CPAC.
We can ask them to meet, and I've talked to a fire marshal earlier. She was a lady. I don't know what department she was in. I went over here to Florida and got her phone number. Like I told you, the reason why I don't apply for any of these things is because I don't read nor write.
Well, I'm sure that if we provide, I don't know if we can provide the information to the fire department, but we can only include it in the action summary and let the districts know. But we, like I said, we cannot. We wouldn't coordinate that. We would need them to let us know if they want to come to the meeting.
Well, Mr. Natoli, I talked to Mr. Natoli quite lengthily last night about it.
Okay.
And he seemed to think that the fire marshal, being they had so much power over these streets, and one of the things that scares me is these subdividers come in and they say, well, we're going to do this. Well, we get one shot at them. And if we can get the fire board behind us, the fire marshal's behind us.
We will notate the request again in the minutes and make sure that the districts know that you've made that request, and that's really all that we can do.
Well, I would think that it's to their benefit, more their benefit than it is ours, because I don't think they want to try to go in and fight a fire where they can't get a truck into.
Very true.
Member Thompson, if I may, I will email Supervisor Natoli's team tonight, and perhaps at a request from the supervisor, the fire marshal may be able to attend as a public commenter or a guest, or might even be an agendized item. Right? As staff noted, they can put in an action item, but I think it would be up to us to invite them. I don't think there's anything that precludes them or prevents them from joining the meeting, but I too would be very supportive of their comments and presence to the meeting.
Yeah, because the only reason I'm bringing this up is when I drove through this street the other day over here in Churchill Downs, and there was cars on both sides of it. If you had two people sticking their hands out, they could have hit the cars. I mean, they wouldn't even. All they had to damn near have is their elbow out the window, and they'd hit it in a car. Well, I know I got a 1-ton truck out here, and it's a full 8 foot wide. It's just like a big semi tractor when it comes to width. And that's just the tires I'm talking about. That ain't the fenders or anything else. So, I mean, I don't know about you people, but I know I darn sure wouldn't want to live someplace like that, where I'd have to, some night wake up and my house is on fire and the fire department can't get there to put it out. Anyway, that's all I have to say about it. So.
Duly noted, Member Thompson, and I will assist you in making that request. And I really appreciate you being passionate about these because if Paradise and all these other unfortunate wildfire events taught us that we can never be too prepared about what could have the best interest of the community at heart. So I really appreciate you looking into this, and you and I can both make the requests, and then hopefully Supervisor Natoli can support us as well.
Yeah. Well, like I was telling Don, I says, you got that state law, that the handicap law, and they've got to let you park. I know with my pickup, they can't make me move it because I've got handicap plates on it. I had a small car I drove before that, but I'll tell you something. Anybody that tells me, I'll let them come out here and they can show me if they can do better with it than I can, because I back it into a lot of places because I know that if I drive it in and get it parked there, I might not get it out. So I back it into a lot of places when I go over here in these, like over to the donut shop over here off of Calvine, because if I drove it in there, I'd never get it out. Because the sucker's 21 feet long. That's from the front bumper to the back bumper. So there's a lot of these, just like this subdivision tonight. This guy says, well, he's got a 20-foot alleyway. Well, 95% of your houses, you couldn't put that 1-ton truck in a garage without tearing the wheels off it or tearing the doors down. So that's one of my big concerns. Well, I'll leave you guys alone. I won't say no more. I'll shut up. Get off my stand.
No need, sir. No need.
Fine,
Mr. Thompson, we are at council comments, so I really appreciate again your comments tonight. It's very well received. Any other comments from the board? I do have a quick question for everyone. Is 6:30 p.m. still available for everyone to get for the rest of 2021?
6:31. This is
The reason why that hour got established is because when we were meeting up here in this, at the place here on Waterman, that was the only hour we could get the building for.
That's correct.
I mean, I liked it better at 7 o'clock because it didn't put such a bind on everybody, but that was the hour they established for this building. Hopefully, I'm hoping and praying that in the next month or two, we get back to where we can meet face to face.
Okay, awesome. Good.
But as far as the hour, if you can get Parks and Rec to get that building to you a little bit later, that's fine with me if you want. I don't have no objections. I know there's a lot of people that work downtown that would like it probably a little bit later. Give them some chance to stuff their face a little bit.
Duly noted. I will talk to the Parks and Rec and work with the clerk and county staff.
Okay. Well, I think it's Southgate Parks and Rec you have to deal with, and from what I've heard, they're pretty hard to deal with.
Member Borgia, this is Munoz from the Clerk of the Board's office.
Yes, ma'am.
If the CPAC would like to time of their meeting, that's fine. You can do that. You just need to put it on the agenda in time.
Understood. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other comments from this? Madam Clerk, are there any public?
This is Stephanie. We do not have any further public comment.
Okay, with that said, I'd like to adjourn. Do we need to call a vote to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting. This is Bill Thompson.
I don't think we need to adjourn.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Well, with that said, I'd like to adjourn the meeting at 8:39 p.m. Hope to see you all on the new.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good
Do we
night,
have a
everybody.
meeting next month or not?
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah, I
Do you know
think,
if we have a meeting next month or not?
Bill, I